With the surreal stuff, the Beyond the Pale, I just took that whole concept of Beyond the Pale, which is a really old concept that the British used to delineate the difference between Great Britain and Scotland at some point. That's where the phrase comes from. But it kind of reflects the fact that if you go beyond the pale, you're going outside of the norm, and you're going kind of into the realm of the uncanny. It seemed like it played in pretty well with a surrealist type concept. So with that particular body of work, I was just thinking, and this whole show, I guess Richard may or may not agree with me on this, but actually this whole show is maybe more akin to painting than it is into photography, because everything's so constructed, that they were not going out and finding things in the world to shoot. We're, creating them in our heads and then coming up with the elements to make it realize. So, yeah, sometimes the elements kind of repeat. In this one, for instance, I'm playing with several different concepts there of you read the title, it's cast in, cast out, cast away, and cast society. Because, in the old days, things were going well for the society, you'd cast a virgin into the volcano, right? So, you got that going. And then you've got the concept, now I don't try not to explain it too much, but then you get the concept of someone that's a cast out, maybe cast out of society. You got the idea of a castaway, who's somebody that's and again, it's kind of been removed from their habitat. They're out there, someplace unusual. And then you get the whole idea of caste societies, which we still have a lot of experience with in different parts of the world, even here. But India is another place that there's still pretty strongly delineated caste societies. So I kind of like to play with as many concepts as I can when I title them and construct them. But yeah, mostly with the surreal stuff, sometimes the elements repeat. And that may or may not be significant, because they may be, in fact, those two with the tikis are completely different concepts, different projects. They kind of look, they have a similarity to them, but I'm not necessarily using them in that fashion. So.
One thing Robert brought up when he said that a lot of our work was singular painting. In some ways I agree, in some ways I disagree, because when you need a certain element for a photograph, sometimes they're very difficult to find. I mean, it's and what you have in your mind, nothing is going to work. A good example of that is The Awakening. I knew what the model had to look like, and I went to model mayhem. I mean, I've been through everything. And then one night I came in and Rachel was standing here. I thought, that's her. I didn't know how I was going to con her into it, but we were going to do that photograph. And she worked very well at it. It was exactly what I was looking for. But that had been in the back of my head for a long time, say, like 4 or 5 months. I've been looking for this person to do it. So it's not easy sometimes to find what you. Where if you were a painter, I would have had her painted in there a long time ago and been done.
So, I noticed that language is sort of critical for how these images proceed. A lot of it are plays on concepts and words, and so how does language fit into this, or does it?
I just really labor over the titles. Years ago, when I first started exhibiting stuff, I labor over the titles, and then I started just titling them literally, sunrise or moonrise or whatever that was. And then I realized that the title of an image is one more way for an artist to communicate to their audience. So I started really laboring over the titles of my images again. In fact, for this show, I think I spent a whole day doing nothing but coming up with titles for all the images, because you don't want to give your audience too much, because then it becomes another sunset image or something. They look at it and it explains itself away, and then they're on to it. But you know, with this type of stuff, I like to leave as much mystery to it as you can, but yet kind of nudge them in a direction, and then kind of let them go from there. So yeah, like I said, with the images, with the Above the Fold project, that's very text and story involved with that stuff. Like I said, that was a project that's completely taken over a life of its own. It's completely out of my control now. I don't know what to do. But with the Cinema Simulations project, I like the idea of taking a couple of movies together, taking the evolution of the characters after the movie's over, and what happens to them later, and what if you take them out of their comfort zone and put them in someplace else? So then I kind of find a way to merge the two movie titles together, and so those become the movie posters series that I'm doing over there. So there's a fair degree of text involved with those things. It kind of help point them in the direction. And otherwise, like I said, I just really labor over what I'm going to title an image, because that gives you one more avenue to kind of influence people to the direction that you want them to go when you're photographing, showing your work. The one right back there that's titled with the frog there and the models and things, that one's titled Peyote Twilight, because when I finished that work and I was thinking about the title for that one, for instance, because I shot it in the desert, and certain elements of it reminded me made me think of the Eagles song, Tequila Sunrise. And so I thought, well, Tequila Sunrise, the next morning you're kind of hungover, you're kind of thinking about, what happened the night before in the song. So this one had to become Peyote Twilight, because these guys are high as a kite, and they got a long night ahead of them with lizards and frogs and things, so just that's, it seemed like a natural progression to me from that one to title that one Peyote Twilight. But that's kind of the warped direction that I come from sometimes when I try to add text and stuff like that to the images. Anything else?
Yeah, Bob, I'm not clear on. Do you sort of process as you go, or do you have a thing in your mind, all in your mind before you even begin, or do you sort of just kind of feel your way through each image and let it evolve?
Sometimes, yeah, the images have to evolve as I create it, but conceptually, the projects, like for instance this one here, what I call the Fallacy of Krampus, that started out a bunch of years ago as it was just going to be a project on scarecrows, because I had seen some scarecrows in the landscape, and I thought, I might make an interesting project, do some scarecrow images, and then I realized that the two scarecrows that I'd seen were the only two scarecrows in the whole countryside. So the project just kind of sat in my head, and over the years it evolved into that, which considerable departure from a scarecrow. But when I complete that body of work and get it up, it'll maybe make a little bit more sense. But yeah, the concepts kind of tend to continually evolve in my head as I work on them. That's why a lot of times it's better for me to just do it before it really evolves into something really strange. But yeah. Any others? Anything else for Rich? He's still here someplace.
He's cooking it right now.
Oh, no, all right. Yeah, he's probably over there eating all the cookies for you, actually. All right, so if nothing else, then